Hi, good morning, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope all of you would be absolutely fit and fine, safe and healthy. Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Okay, and in this video session, we are going to discuss about VPC. Okay, in short, we already have discussed about the VPC in my AWS services introduction video series. Okay, but in this video, we are going to talk about VPC in detail, okay? And we'll have a practical demonstration about VPC in AWS environment itself. Like we will see how to create a virtual private cloud on AWS infrastructure, AWS in console itself, okay? And within that VPC, okay, a virtual private network, we will create and launch a EC2 instance machine itself, okay? So let us have a very brief understanding about the VPC. What is VPC? VPC is a virtual network on AWS cloud itself. Okay, like we see that we work in the organization, the companies, or any enterprise. There are network configuration. They are on premise. They maintain a network. They have configured a network itself. Okay, and in the network, multiple computers, multiple resources are hosted. Okay, in the office premises itself. And further, there are different kind of security rules, like which all resources within the network is accessible to the cloud, to the outside world, on the internet, and which all resources should be kept secure within premises itself. Okay, so all these were controls by the different kind of security rules, different kind of security profile, firewall policies itself within the organization. Okay. So that is a kind of physical network that we all see in the office premises itself, or the or on-premise environment. Okay, but similar kind of network that we are going to create on AWS cloud. Okay, that is known as VPC. That is called virtual private cloud. So VPC also एक टाइप ऑफ नेटवर्क है जो वर्चुअल है, और एक वर्चुअल नेटवर्क हम लोग AWS इन्वायरमेंट में हम लोग क्रिएट करेंगे. ओके, एंड within that network we will going to host a EC2 instance of Windows machine itself. Okay, so that is the topic of and the demonstration of this video today. Okay, so let us move ahead. Yeah, so typically we can see this kind of network or the VPC architecture diagram on AWS itself. We can see that in the AWS cloud itself, we have VPC, the virtual private cloud. This rectangular area you can consider as a virtual private network on the on AWS cloud itself. That is known as the VPC. Okay, and this VPC is connected with the internet gateway. Okay, internet gateway is a resource which is used to provide internet access to the network, to this virtual network, which is created on AWS itself. Okay, so that is the responsibility of internet gateway. Within that VPC, further there are we have created two different subnet. Okay, so what is subnet? Subnet are further lower level isolation of the complete network. So, okay, so assume this VPC is a complete physical network. Okay, within that we have divided that network into two parts. Okay, the subnet 1 and subnet 2. Okay, so let us assume this entire VPC, the network CIDR block. Okay, we have defined as 10.0.0.616. Okay, so after that, out of this network range 10.0.0.16, we can further divide that 10.0.0.0/24 and 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, so we can define the further sub isolation and sub classification of the complete network. Okay, so subnet we can consider that the division of the entire physical network into two different sub network area itself you can consider. Okay, so we can see in the diagram, like in this VPC and the network is divided into two different isolations. That is, the first one is the subnet, this public subnet 10.0.0.24, and second one is the 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, this is private subnet. Okay, So what is private and public subnet? So the private subnet is the subnet which is not connected to the internet. Okay, the private subnet is not accessible to the directly accessible to the outside world through the internet itself. Okay, because we can see in the diagram, this VPC has the internet gateway, but internet gateway is connected to the public subnet itself. Okay, instead, it is not connected to the private subnet. Okay, so whatever machine or EC2 machine or the virtual instances we are going to launch in the private subnet, that will not be accessible directly through the internet itself. Okay, that is the purpose of creating the private subnet and launching the virtual machines within the private subnet itself. Because this private subnet, we don't give the internet gateway access to the private subnet. Hence, all the resources which are being launched within the private subnet are not directly accessible to the accessible from the internet and from the outside world. Then in that case, how we can access that those resources or the virtual machines which is hosted in the private subnet itself? Okay, so in that case, we can access those resources from any virtual machine which is deployed or hosted within the public subnet itself. Okay, so we can see that we just consider this machine. Okay, 10.0.1.10. Okay, this machine is in the private subnet itself, and this is also in the private subnet. But normally, straightforward, we cannot access this machine through the internet. But if there is any EC2 instance in the public subnet itself, okay, from that machine we can connect this machine. We can do the RDP, remote desktop access, or we can connect that machine from any machine which is there in the public subnet within the same VPC. Okay, so these subnets, subnet 1 and subnet 2, this one, all this the instances within these subnets within the same VPC can connect to each other. Okay, but from the internet we can connect only to the machines which are there in the public subnet itself, and we cannot connect the machine directly which are there in the private subnet. Okay, so that is actually the purpose of private subnet itself, where we don't connect the private subnet to IGW, internet gateway, because we want to keep that machine secure. Okay, and this kind of architecture is planned and configured within the enterprise on premise itself even, and cloud environment also, in order to keep the secure resources within the private subnet itself. And because most of the database servers, okay, database servers should be hosted normally in the private subnet itself, and the web application server are hosted in the public subnet. Okay, and these database servers can be accessed only by the web server itself, which are there in the private public subnet itself. Okay, these databases cannot be accessed directly through the internet. Okay, so in order to keep the DB server or database confidential and secure, this kind of subnetting are being configured. Okay, and resources are being hosted accordingly. So that is the purpose of this public and private subnet itself. Further, from if you there are some machines, okay, some on-premise data center, okay, so we can connect the on-premise data center. Okay, if we have any machine on our on-premise and we want to connect the resources in the private subnet itself, then there is a way that from the VPN connection or the VPN gateway, we can connect the instances which are there in the private subnet through the local machine which is there in the on-premise environment itself. Okay, so there are two ways, like in order to access this private instances, one, we can log into the EC2 instance which is there in the public subnet, and from there we can connect this machine which is there in the private subnet itself. Okay, other way, we can connect these private instances from our on-premise environment also, but in that case we would need a VPN connection. Okay, VPN connection or VPN gateway should be there on AWS at the VPC level. Okay, and with the help of this we can connect the private instances from our on-premise environment also. Okay, there are some services which are in the like Amazon DynamoDB or S3. These are the global services on AWS. Okay, So these global services, which is not uh, connected to any particular VPC, they are in the global environment, global infrastructure of AWS itself, like Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon S3. So you can access Amazon DynamoDB or S3 from any instance from the public subnet itself. Okay, any EC2 machine which are there in the public subnet, you can access those services, those global services. Okay, but what if we want to access those global services from the instances which are there in the private subnet itself? Okay, in that case, what we can do, there are some endpoints. Okay, in the AWS, there are some like VPC endpoints or the interface endpoints. There are different kind of endpoints which helps us to provide the access to the global services from the private instances itself. Okay, so this is a typical architecture diagram of a VPC, which we can create and configure within the AWS environment itself. Okay, so this is a slightly bigger. It has multiple components like public subnet, private subnet. Okay, and some global services are also connected through the endpoint, and there are some from the customer gateway also we can access the private instances from on-premise environment itself. Okay, so this is a sample diagram of VPC architecture. Okay, in fact, we are not going to create this kind of bigger demonstration itself, but in short, we are going to create a VPC, a custom VPC. By default, when we create an account, AWS provides us a default VPC. Okay, and that default VPC is already connected to the internet through the internet gateway, and there are some predefined route tables. Okay, that helps us to provide the internet connection. Okay, with the help of internet gateway. And in this demonstration, what we are going to do, we will create our own custom VPC. Okay, and we will set up all these subnets. Okay, and we will then launch the instances. We will see create the private subnet, the public subnet also, and we will launch the instances also, and we'll define all the route tables within the VPC itself, and we'll try to connect the machine from our local environment itself. Okay, so that is a part of the demonstration. So let us proceed. Okay, on the practical demonstration. So what are the steps we are going to do today? That first one, we will create a VPC. Secondly, within the VPC, we will create the subnet itself. Okay, then we will create an internet gateway, and after that, we will define route tables. Okay, and we'll associate that route table to the subnet that we had created in step 2. And after that, once 1, 2, 3, 4 steps are completed, we will create an EC2 instance within the newly created VPC and test the RDP connection. Okay, so we'll create a virtual machine within the VPC itself, and we'll try to take the remote desktop from our local machine to that EC2 instance itself. Okay, so that is the part of the demonstration. Okay, so from the first step, we should create a VPC. Okay, so let's move on to the Amazon console itself. Okay, so I am on our Amazon management console itself. Okay, so let us first search for VPC. Just follow the steps what I'm doing. Okay, and you can do this demonstration at your in your account also, and you can replicate all this demonstration. So we'll go into the VPC itself. We can see a default VPC is already there. Okay, and if we go inside, all the this VPC has subnets defined itself. There are 3 availability zone. I'm in the Mumbai Asia Pacific Mumbai region itself. So in this region, there are 3 availability zones. Okay, and all these 3 availability zones are connected to the internet gateway. Okay, this is the default IGW. Okay, so all these 3 subnets, okay, in each availability zone are connected through the route table and to the internet gateway, and having the direct access to the outside world through the internet itself. Okay, so this is the structure of this default VPC. Okay, So we are not going to use this default VPC for our demonstration purpose. Instead, we will going to create a fresh custom VPC itself. Okay. So I'll click on create VPC. Okay. So there are two options here, VPC only or VPC and more. Okay. VPC only means we will create a simple VPC. I'll do all the configuration at ourselves. Okay. But when you click on VPC and more, it will provide you a predefined architecture of the VPC, which we can create quickly. So we can see this in this diagram. It will create a VPC named project VPC. It will define within two availability zone. It will create subnet itself. Okay, two subnet. AP South 1A in this availability zone, it is going to create a public subnet and a private subnet. In second availability zone, it is again going to create a public subnet and a private subnet. Okay, and we can see in the route table from the subnets which are there in the public subnet itself in this availability zone. Okay, they are connected to the internet through the route table itself and from the internet gateway itself. Okay, but in this availability zone, AP South 1B, okay, there are public subnet and the private subnet itself. Okay, so this public subnet is connected to the internet through the route table through this internet gateway itself. But this private subnet, okay, is connected through the route table and to a VPC endpoint. Okay, and this VPC endpoint, this is the VPC endpoint. Okay, VPC E S3 is providing access to S3 itself. Okay, so let's create on show detail. Okay, yeah. So we can see in data like it has an endpoint also, VPC endpoint that is providing the gateway endpoint access to S3 service. Okay, to the resources which are there in the private subnet itself. Okay, so this is a predefined architecture, but we are not going to create this kind of big diagram and the environment itself, but instead we are going to create a simple one first. So we'll select VPC only. Okay. I'll give the name my custom VPC. Okay. IPv4 CIDR block. We are going to the IP addresses will be the IPv4 itself, and IPv4 CIDR block I'll put 10.0.0.16. I'm going to use this CIDR range itself. No IPv6 CIDR block. We don't want to use IPv6 IP addresses itself. Okay, so it will be we'll keep it default. Tenancy will be default itself. Okay, and we can give a the tag here. The tag we specify just to identify the resources, like these resources we are going to create for the training purpose itself. Okay, so where is the name of my VPC? Okay. My custom VPC, right? Okay, no worry. Yeah. So I have selected the default option. I have given the name of my VPC itself. I have given the network range, okay, of the VPC, and some tags we have specified. The tags are optional. We can avoid this. Okay. Let's create VPC. So VPC has been created. Okay, this is the VPC ID, state available. Okay, and yeah, this VPC doesn't have any subnet. A default route table is automatically created when we create a VPC. Okay, just remember this. Okay, so this is the route table ID. Okay, but there is no subnets as of now. Okay, and there is no internet gateway, no connections. Okay, so we just created the VPC itself. Okay, now what is the next step? So next step we have to create a subnet itself. Okay, so let me go here in the subnet section. We'll go in the subnet. So in this region, like Asia Pacific Mumbai, already there are 3 availability zones. Okay, you can see here. So these 3 availability zones, AP South 1, already are defined. Okay, but we are not going to use this ability, this subnet itself, which are there in this availability zone. Instead, we are going to create our own subnet. Okay, like in the diagram, we see like there are 2 subnets here, public subnet and a private subnet. So we are going to create our subnet itself, and we will give that subnet to internet access. Okay, so we in short, we are going to create a public subnet. Okay, so once we create a subnet, by default that is private, but once we attach the subnet to internet gateway, then that subnet becomes a public subnet because it is having the internet gateway through the IGW itself. Okay, so let us create a subnet itself, new subnet. So yes, in which VPC we are going to create the subnet? So we are going to create the subnet in the VPC we have created just now, my custom VPC. Okay, so this is the CIDR range of this VPC, my custom VPC itself. I'll give the name, my custom subnet. Okay, so in which availability zone we want to create this subnet itself. So I'll select anyone, no preference, it will select automatically. But let us select this AP South 1A. Okay, and what IPv VPC CIDR block. So this is the CIDR block for the VPC, like 10.0.0.16 we have already chosen. But for this subnet, okay, we can select this /24 as of now. Okay, so for this 3 octet will be fixed. Like first one, second one, third one, 3 octet will be fixed, and after that 256 IP are there. That 56 IPs and the resources can be allocated within this side range itself. Okay, so all these are part of networking. Okay, and the IP addressing system. So there are different resources for the internet that you can go through and study. In fact, I will share some in the discussion of the video, and that will help you to understand, okay, how IP addresses are being constructed, okay, and how it can be further divided within the subnet itself. Okay, so that is by part of the IP addressing details. Okay, so we are not going to jump into that itself. Okay, so we'll stick to the demonstration part, like creating the subnet and creating the EC2 instance itself. Okay, later on we can understand about this IP addressing system itself in any other video. Okay, yes, we can specify the tag itself. Let us keep it as it is. Okay, and yes, that's it. We are okay, so we can create it. We given the subnet name itself. We are putting this subnet in this availability zone. CIDR block we will be using of the VPC, and within that we are creating the subnet and giving this CIDR range for the subnet itself. Okay, so in the diagram also we can see like this is the CIDR range of entire VPC, but out of that there are CIDR range for this subnet and this subnet itself. That is different. Okay, having occupying the 3 octet itself. Okay, but entire VPC it is occupying 2 octet. Okay, so 10.0, and after that 256 will be used for the IP allocation, resources allocation itself. Okay, so let me create this subnet itself. Yes, so this subnet is also created. Okay, we can select this subnet in the action. There is no route table here in this subnet itself. Okay, and we'll discuss about the network ACL and all in different session itself. Okay, but for now, this subnet is ready for use. So what are the next step? Create an internet gateway. Okay, so let us go and create an internet gateway itself. I'm giving the name my custom IGW. Okay, and let's create. Okay, so this internet gateway is also created. Okay, this is the ID of internet gateway. Okay, and it is in the state of detached now. So this internet gateway is not connected to any VPC. Okay, but in the diagram, we have seen that the internet gateway should connect to the VPC itself. Okay, so let us do that step. Okay, so from the action, we can attach to VPC, and here we need to select the VPC. So we are going to select my custom VPC. Okay, attach internet gateway. Okay, so my internet gateway is connected to the VPC, the custom VPC we already have created. Okay, so this connection we already established. Okay, so what we have done till yet, that we have created a VPC itself. Within that VPC, we have created a subnet. Okay, and within that subnet, okay, so we have created an internet gateway also, and we have associated that internet gateway to a VPC itself. Okay, yes. So let us see what are the next step. Create and route table and associate this with a subnet. Okay, that we created in step 2. So let us create a route table itself. So route table. Okay, let us create a my custom route table, and then we will select the VPC. So for this VPC, we are going to create the route table itself. Okay, and let us create route table. Yes, so this route table is also created. Okay, and we need to associate this route table, okay, to the subnet, okay, that we created. So in the subnet association, we can go and edit subnet association. Okay, so this is the subnet which we created. Okay, so we are going to associate this route table to this subnet itself. Okay, my custom subnet. So save association. Okay, so when you will go back in the subnet association, we can see this route table is connected to this subnet that we created. Okay, so we have created and completed this fourth step, created and route table and associated with this subnet itself. Okay, so at this stage, we are done with creating the VPC. Okay, so we created a VPC, we created a subnet itself, we created an internet gateway, we connected the internet gateway to the VPC. Okay, and we created a route table also. Okay, and associated a route table to the subnet itself. Okay, so at this stage, our VPC is ready and the subnet is also ready. Okay, and that VPC is connected to the internet itself with the help of internet gateway. Now we can create any instance, any virtual machine within this VPC itself. Okay, and that virtual machine should be accessible to the from the internet itself. Okay, from the outside world. Okay, so that is step we need to see. So let us see how we can do that. So we'll go on EC2 services itself. Okay, and we are going to launch a machine. Okay, by custom EC2. Okay, we are going to create a Windows machine itself. Let us select this, the default template, free tier eligible. Okay, and the key pair, we are going to create a key pair, a phrase key pair, RSA, PAM key. Custom key pair. Okay, let us create and download this. Okay, so this key pair is also downloaded. Okay, and we are allowing the RDP access from anywhere as of now to this instance itself. We are not allowing any HTTP or HTTPS access. Okay, and all the configuration will keep it default. Okay, so we are creating this instance here, the Windows instance within this VPC itself. Okay, and let us launch the instance itself. Okay, so this is the instance ID. Let us go on the EC2 dashboard. Okay, so this machine is being initialized. Once this machine will be completely initialized and up and running, we will try to connect this machine from remote desktop, and we'll see whether we are able to connect this machine or not, and whether we will also see that whether this machine is having the internet access or not. Okay, so that is a part of the demonstration. So I think we should wait for a few minutes to come this machine to completely online. It is still initializing. Okay, so by the time we can see the details. Okay, when you click on instance, we can see this is the public IP of this instance itself, and the private IP of this instance. Okay, and this is the auto assigned public IP. So these are the same itself. Okay, I think we have done a mistake here. Okay, we need to revert this step. So let me go back. So what mistake I have done? I'll just explain you. Because we can see we have given the CIDR range 10.0.0 or something. Okay, but in the private IP it is picking the 772.31 something. Okay, this is because in the VPC it is selected the default VPC. Okay, we have not selected our custom VPC. So that mistake we have done here. Okay, so let me go back in the instance. Okay, let me stop this instance itself. Okay, stop, and let me terminate also. I don't want this instance. Terminate. Okay, so this instance will be terminated. Okay, by the time we will launch another instance. Let this go. So I'm going to create a fresh instance itself. My custom VPC 101. I'm giving a different name just for the identification purpose. So we'll select the Windows itself. Okay, and this default AMI. Let me select a bigger one so that we can Windows Server Instant 2025 core base. Okay, and this will be default instance type. Key pair, we can use this key pair, okay, that we created in the previous step, or we can create a new one also. So we'll use this one itself, custom key pair. I hope custom key pair we have downloaded, right? Yeah. So we'll select this custom key pair. Okay. So in the network setting, okay, and what we have to do, yeah, it is by default, it is selected default VPC, and we proceeded ahead. Okay. We don't want the machine to create it in this default VPC itself. So what we will do, we will click on edit. We will select here our VPC that we have created. Okay, my custom VPC. Okay, and by default, my custom subnet will also be created. Auto assign public IP that we need to select. Okay, otherwise we won't be able to connect this machine from the remote desktop and the outside world. Okay, so we need this option to be enabled. Okay, let it create a new security group itself that is required. RDP access we want. Okay, from anywhere itself, that is fine. And all this volume configuration is okay. 30 GB of storage we would need. And in advanced section, let's keep all this as default itself. These are not needed to select here. Okay. Yeah. So this time we are creating this EC2 instance Windows machine itself. Okay, that is in our own VPC. Okay, that we have created the custom VPC and the custom subnet itself. Okay, and we are just making it public. We are assigning a public IP itself also. So let us launch it. Okay, so this machine instance is created. Now if we will see here, okay, so yeah, now we can see the private IP range is 10.10.0 in the same CIDR range what we have defined. So it is giving the IP address within of this private IP address for this instance within that range itself. Okay, so This time we did correct. And the connected VPC is my custom VPC, my custom subnet. Okay. So this machine is being configured and created within the VPC that we have created. Okay. And within the subnet that we have created itself. Okay. This is the associated public IP itself. Okay. In the networking, you will go. You can see all these details in which availability zone, like it is AP South 1, that is in which we have created our subnet itself. So all these details are there itself. Okay. So let's wait for the machine to come up, and we will try connecting this machine from the remote desktop itself. Okay. That is the last step we have to see. Okay, so not completely, but for some part of this diagram, like this part, the VPC one and the subnet, one subnet. Within the subnet, this route table, internet gateway, and within that subnet, launching a machine. Okay. So at this part, we have done itself. Okay. So further, you can create another subnet also within the same VPC, and you can launch more instances within those subnet itself. Okay, if you will not connect that subnet to the internet gateway, then that subnet will be the private subnet, and the subnet what we have created as of now, that is the public subnet, because we have given the internet access to that subnet itself. Okay, through the internet gateway. Okay, so for that reason, we can call that a public subnet. Okay, so I hope you got what is the difference between the private subnet and the public subnet itself. Okay. In short, private subnet doesn't have the internet access, direct internet access. Okay. And the public subnet has the direct internet access through the internet gateway itself. Okay. Let us go back. Let's see. Yeah. So this 3x3 check passed. This machine is available, and we can try connecting this machine itself. Okay. So let us click on connect. We'll click on RDP client. We'll download the RDP client itself. Okay. And default username is administrator itself. We will get the password of this machine, upload the private key file that we have downloaded, like custom key pair. Okay. And decrypt password. This is the password. Let me copy this. Okay. And remote desktop we downloaded here. So let us try to connect it. We are not able to connect this. Okay. Yeah. One more thing we have missed here. Okay. Let me tell you about that. Okay, why it is not connecting. Because the route table we have created, right? Okay. So let us go in the VPC section. Okay. This custom route table, what we can see here, let's click on this. So we have to define a route. Okay. So let us create a edit route here. Okay. In the edit route, let's click on add route here. Okay. And select this one 0.0.0.0/0. So this route is used for connecting this route table to the internet itself. Okay. We'll select the internet gateway. Okay. And then you can select this custom gateway. Okay. My custom gateway, the internet gateway that we have created. With this custom gateway, we are connecting this route table. So this route 0.0.0.0/0, that is default for the internet. Okay. So let me select this and save changes. Okay. So let us try again. We'll put the password and click OK. First time we are going to connect, so it will ask for this confirmation. Let us. Yes, so we are connected on the machine. Okay. The EC2 instance, what we have created, we are able to connect through the remote desktop. Okay. So it is still configuring something. Will take few more minutes, 4 seconds to come up. Yeah. Please wait. Other user. doing some configuration. Let's wait for a few minutes. So this machine we are able to connect, okay, because this machine is in our private subnetted public subnet itself, because we are given the internet access through the internet gateway to the subnet where we have launched this machine itself. Okay, so that is the for that purpose, for that that reason we are able to connect this machine from outside world. Okay, let it complete the settings itself. Okay, so guys, you can also do all this demonstration and practical implementation in your AWS account itself, free tier AWS account you can create, and you can do this practical itself. Okay, so until you will not replicate all these steps, you will not do this practice at yourself. Okay, you will not be confident. Okay, so I will recommend. Okay, please go for a free tier AWS account and try to do this demonstration. Okay, this practical demonstration. Okay, so that you could be very confident for this creating this kind of architecture itself. Okay, it is still taking a bit long because the first time we are this machine is getting started. Okay, so some configuration it is doing. So guys, this machine will come up in few seconds itself. Okay, for some initial setting it is taking time. Okay, I hope you will like this video. You like this video. Okay, and if you find this video informative, okay, and interesting, I would request humble appeal that please like and subscribe my channel, like the video itself. Okay, and this is also for motivating us. Okay, it really encourages us and motivates us for creating such more interesting videos for the community and for my friends itself. Okay, so once this machine will up, you can simply ping the internet IP 0.0.0.0. Okay, and you will get the response itself from the command prompt. Okay, so that is the last step, the demonstration of this session itself, and you can do that practical in your account itself. Okay, this is taking a bit more time to get it completely up due to initial configuration. So the video will be very longer. So with this, let us conclude the session today for this. Okay, and thank you very much for now. Okay, stay happy, stay healthy, stay connected. Okay, let's look forward to meet on next video itself. Thank you very much.